I, Denise Park, do hereby give notice that a meeting of the Blackburn with Darwen Borough Council Forum will be held at Blackburn Town Hall on Thursday the 24th of July 2025 at 6 p.m. And if you could please remain standing whilst the Mayor's Chaplain says prayers.
Let us pray. Almighty God, as we gather here this evening, we hold before you the Borough of Blackburn with Darwen. May we, as members of this council, of all faiths and none, work together for the good of our town and communities. May we work together to foster a thriving commerce and community, and to protect the vulnerable. Give us courage to make decisions that will help our neighbourhoods and businesses thrive, enabling Blackburn with Darwen to be a place where people love to live and work. We pray particularly for this council meeting and for each councillor here present. May we listen well and draw upon our collective wisdom as we seek to work for the common good of our borough. We offer to you this evening the agenda for this meeting, praying for clarity of mind and concentration, for wisdom in decision-making and compassion in our priorities. And we pray for grace in building fellowship and a sense of community within these walls. We too remember with thankfulness all who work in the administration of council matters and invest their time in our communities. And we pray too for those who cannot be here this evening. Finally, we bring before you our own particular concerns and those people close to each of us who are in our thoughts and our prayers at this time. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So now we will receive any apologies for absence, and we have had apologies from councillors Matt Jackson, Mahfouz Hussain and Terry Mahmood. Are there any other apologies? Thank you. So the next item of business is to receive and confirm the minutes of the annual council meeting, which was held on the 15th of May.
Please move and second for the acceptance of the minutes of the last meeting. Thank you. Councillor Riley, you wish to speak
On the minutes.
on the minutes. You wish to speak on the minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, my computer's gone to pieces since I had to do a piece of uploading this morning, so I can't make it do anything. But yeah, I think I have to make mention of the fact that we've got an additional... So the Police and Crime Commissioners, the attempt is always made to produce an equalisation across the councils of Lancashire, and in this particular year it's more complicated because of different changes. The consequences is that we have made a nomination of Councillor Shawkat Hussain, and that stays as it is. However, we have got a second nomination now to make, which needs to be an independent councillor, and I think I'm moving Councillor Mahfouz Desai, who will be the Mustafa Desai, who will be the I'm sorry about that. Yeah, who will be the independent councillor on the Police and Crime Commission.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our group are happy to second that nomination.
Favour? Carried. Thank you. Congratulations.
If you can sign the minutes. Yeah, so that was agreed because the minutes updated on council appointments last time, and this is in addition to the council appointments, so thank you for that. The next item, Madam Mayor, is to receive any declarations of interest. So if any councillors do have declarations of interest on matters on the agenda, if you could complete the form and leave it with Jane, that would be appreciated. Thank you. So the next item of business is to receive your mayoral communications.
That one. Right. Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, the Mayoress and I have had a very busy 10 weeks. In office, we have been meeting diverse communities of Blackburn with Darwen, starting with Civic Sunday. What a great day that was, and the cadet forces taking part made it even better. Refugee Week, we met so many different people from so many countries. The hospitality was outstanding. The different food was amazing. Since they came into the Mayor's Parlour and the Council Chamber afterwards, and we had a chat to them all, and they were very impressed, I might say. The Mayoress and I have attended the 1st Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's Regimental Day and Waterloo Parade at Wheaton Barracks. We've attended events for Armed Forces Week, starting with Armed Forces Day flag-raising ceremony outside both town halls and events in the week. Can I and the Mayoress thank everyone who helped the Festival of making such a great success. I had the pleasure also to attend the 125th anniversary service at St Silas's Church. What a beautiful church that is. We have done numerous events with the following groups: Adult Learners, Lancashire Fire Brigade, Rescue Service and the King's Trust, Blackburn Children's University annual graduation ceremonies, Blackburn Food Bank AGM, and many school events. Last Saturday we attended the Royal Lancashire Show. What a great event, meeting lots of interesting people, and a lot of them from Blackburn with Darwen. Over the coming months, we will be holding our charity events to raise money for our mayoral charities, and I hope you will support us in our charities. If you'd like me and the Mayoress to attend anything, please get in contact with the Mayor's office, but we do need 3 weeks' notice. A date all for your diaries is February the 14th, 2026. It will be the Mayor's Ball at Blackburn Rovers. Please support us, but we will give you more details as we have them. On behalf of Lillian and myself, I thank you for everyone that supported us for this amazing 10 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I can advise you that we have had one question that has been submitted from a member of the public under Procedure Rule 10. The question is as set out in the guidance note. It's a question to the leader, but you can invite Mr Les Kay to come to the front and ask his question directly, or stay at the back and ask his question.
Thank you. 2 weeks ago, BWD issued a good news story stating our expenditure was less than our income. Budget strategy reserves now stand at 4 million, with a further 2.002 million added to the general fund balance. The Council also paid down some of its existing debt. Councillor Riley said not a single resident has had a drop in service. Would you agree with me the additional funding could have been utilised to further improving the services in the borough? For instance, highways have not improved really, have they?
Please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Cade, thanks for your question. Well, initially, I'm obviously grateful that you've acknowledged the Council's prudent management of its financial affairs, and it will be remiss of me not to pay tribute to the Executive Member for Finance and Governance for her diligent oversight of the Council's finances, and indeed to colleagues on the Executive Board for ensuring that we continue to provide essential services to the residents of Blackburn with Darwen within the overall budget that we set. I'm also grateful that you raised the point about investing in the improvement of services in the borough. On that point, I'd like to refer you to the Council's revenue budget and capital programmes for the current financial year, which was agreed by the Council in February when we set out our investment plans. Notably, in the current year, we will be investing £11 million in both adult and children's social care to ensure that those adults, children and young people in our borough receive the services they deserve. I know that we probably hear less about these services, but nevertheless they are incredibly important, and we must do all we can to ensure that our investment in these areas achieves the best possible outcome. As in previous years, in addition to the wide range of day-to-day services this Council provides, we're continuing to invest in those areas that make a difference to people's lives. We're continuing with longer opening hours for libraries. We're continuing with the residents. They've told us that they appreciate the parks, and so an investment that was made in more park keepers has been kept in place. As you know, the cleanliness of the borough is vital to our place, so we will keep the investment that has delivered more litter bins, more gully cleaning, more litter picking and more bulky waste collections in every ward. And recognising that some of our adopted back streets are starting to look untidy and unkempt, we will provide additional resources to start clearing the wheel with the weeds and the litter. And on top of that investment we've made previously to improve the standards of white lining in the roads in our borough, we're also now providing additional investment to improve the yellow lining as well. Our capital programme for this year and over the medium term totals around 170 million. This includes investment in the Blackburn Growth area, the Blackburn Growth Axis, the Darwen Town Deal, key sites in Blackburn Town Centre and Blackburn's Cultural Quarter, where the long overdue improvements to the iconic King George's Hall are currently underway. With these and other major development opportunities likely to come forward as we fully embrace devolution, there is the potential for up to £1 billion of investment, which will drive the much-needed economic growth of this borough to be prosperous. On the highways specifically, and you did mention this, at the meeting in June 2025, the Executive Board agreed the Highways Capital Programme for 25-26. Overall, for highways maintenance and highways infrastructure improvements, the Council is budgeted to spend nearly £16 million in the year 25-26. And this includes an additional 60 schemes across the borough. Whilst I accept there is much more to do, given the significant underfunding of this activity over the last 15 years, this does represent much needed investment in this area, and it probably would be remiss of me now not to apologise to everybody in the chamber for the confusion that will be caused in the next 4 or 5 weeks when most of these activities all seem to happen at the same time. But that's the nature of fixing some problems. Finally, let me just point out that the story you're referring to in your question was a report on the Council's financial outturn for 24-25, and that was considered at the last Executive Board meeting. Just to emphasise, it is good news and not necessarily a position shared by other councils. When setting the budget for 25-26, we're always mindful of our legal obligations to have a balanced budget, but now, in the knowledge of the outturn position, that's where we have found a strong foundation for the list of developments and improvements which I've just read out. Obviously, if you have a supplementary question, I'll happily answer it.
In March of this year, Livesey Parish had a meeting with the council officers. One of our concerns being no crossing facilities for the children of St Francis School on Preston Old Road, where we had an accident only in January. I was told at the time this would be not an issue after the school followed various road safety protocols, which they have duly done. Why can't a crossing be paid out of the general fund balance? I have previously discussed with the officers a way to offset these costs by means of not paying Chorley Council £221,000 from application 10/16/11/32, which is the watermill site, for the MOVA lights at the top of Malden Brow in Chorley. As the highways engineer for Fireham has said they will be taking the responsibility for that junction, redirecting this money towards a school crossing would be a zero-cost outcome for the borough.
I think, I think it's inevitable that there will be things that we don't do. I think that's just inevitable. I can happily have a conversation with the officers about why, about that particular thing, but it would also, it would be silly to make it. There's an important point here, really, which is that in the end, the reason why we have ended up with the outturn that we have is because effectively people have been very careful in the course of the year. And that's an important point. We have a legal obligation to balance the budget. And it's fairly obvious, isn't it, that we kind of only know how finally that goes at the end of the year. So I don't think we make any apologies as executive members or anyone else for that matter. We don't make any apologies about being careful how we spend the money because we want to get it right in the long run over the year. I'll happily look into that particular thing and see if there's a different way we can look at it. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cade. Madam Mayor, the next item of business, we have had one notice of motion which has been submitted under Procedure Rule 12, which is set out on the agenda page and in the guidance note. It is to be moved by Councillor John Slater and seconded by Councillor Julie Slater, and at the end of this motion we will be using the voting buttons, just to advise you.
Councillor Slater. Which one? Councillor Slater. Right to it there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hope everybody's read this. So I'll be reading it out again. When I came across this, I was at a leaders' meeting in Manchester, and when Beverly spoke about it, I thought what a great idea. I think it was raised at the LGA as well, which I think Councillor Riley was at. Sometimes when you look at something, you think, yeah, what a great idea. And we shouldn't be afraid to use best practice. We shouldn't be afraid to think, this is a great idea, this should be done. Now, I know there may be difficulties, and I know there may be some technical things that we need to do, but I'm sure that if you spoke to Beverly, leader of Manchester City Council, that she'll show how she implemented it. I'm sure she'll do that. But I think it would be nice as a moral thing to do to be the first council in Lancashire to adopt this, and only the second council in the country. I know there's a cost, but I don't think it's a great cost, and I think the people of this borough will be happy to take that cost It's interesting that we're debating things like this and not other councils debating flags, but that's another matter. But I would really hope that everyone would support this. I couldn't see any reason why you wouldn't. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, we agree. In principle, we absolutely agree with the points that Councillor Slater made. It looks a worthy idea, but I suppose the only issue, and I think he's already alluded to that, is that there's clearly some difficulties with it. My overriding concern, I think, is that it gets, if we're not careful, it gets some of the council officers into some fairly intrusive conversations which will be uncomfortable, really. And I mean, the very obvious one is what do you do if somebody believed that they were going to die and then didn't, and whether you go back and ask for. So I think there's some practical issues, but I'm absolutely clear that we can look at this. This isn't a party political issue. I think this is an absolutely a genuine thing. It would be a good thing if we can find a way of doing it. It helps people in, it's a sort of very serious moment in their lives. So happy to take on board the conversations. Happy to really have conversations with John and to see really where what we could work up and how we can make it work, Madam Mayor. So I'm comfortable with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We wholeheartedly welcome this motion and commend Councillor John Slater and Julie on bringing this forward, such a vital and humane proposal. The initiative taken by Manchester City Council sets a precedent that puts dignity, compassion and practical support at the heart of public service. The burden of council tax during final months of life, when households are already grappling with increased energy costs, medical equipment and emotional strain, is an injustice, and I think we've got an opportunity here to put something in place that will support that. Like Phil just said, that there is some detail that needs to be worked on, but I'm wholeheartedly supporting your motion. Thank you.
Vicky McClurk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to support what the leader has said, I think across the chamber, we're probably all in a similar thought process. This is a good idea. And as the leader said, it comes with its own set of practicalities, so certainly committed to taking this away. And I have to say, the leader did come from the LGA meeting and had already mentioned to myself, and I've been working with our Director of Finance, Mr Dean Langton, so we've already been looking at this. So there's certainly a commitment to try and find a pragmatic solution going forward. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, as colleagues have already said, I don't think anybody across the chamber would disagree with the motion. But I think we need to be mindful that predicting someone's life expectancy isn't an exact science, and with the best will in the world, even HCPs can't actually predict when somebody's life will end. And I think that poses some challenges in terms of how we implement and facilitate this. And I was sort of echoing the words of other colleagues here. Would happily go away, look at this. How can we best facilitate this so it's not being intrusive to the residents' own personal circumstances? So fully happy to support the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Jackie Floyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this comment I'm making very much as the Chair of Place, where I'd like to make the whole of the Chamber aware that as well as starting well, growing well, living well, ageing well, we have included dying well. And there is a whole ream of work. So looking at the finances around the time of dying is important, as well as all the other support, preferred place of care. And there is lots of work going on in that area already. So it will be done as part of that all-encompassing wraparound support that Blackburn with Darwen is proud of. Thank you.
Reply. Councillor Julie Setter.
I'd just like to say, I do feel that this motion is really, really important. And Phil's mentioned about the timeline of how long we'd have to pay for somebody that is terminally ill. Now, through experience, through family members and friends that have suffered from cancer, my mum I've recently lost due to cancer. When they have cancer, they have the treatment. We know that a lot will survive. But some people aren't as lucky. And then when they go for their consultation, they get sat down and said, we're really sorry. There's nothing more we can do. You're terminal. And that happens. Any of you that have had family members with cancer will know that is what happens. We don't know how long they have, but we know it's terminal. And you know once it's terminal, even though they're having treatment and pain relief, and they have the options of going into a hospice and whatever, but some have care at home for a while. My mum had some care at home, but it wasn't enough. And it was a difficult, because some people live far away from a hospice, and some people can't drive. If they're ill and they've got no family members that can take them, they need taxis, they need a bus. I mean, going on a bus with cancer, that's a bit ridiculous. So they struggle financially, and they need that little extra help, because some people, the council tax in different areas as well, are higher than others, depending what street you live on, what band you live in, or whatever. But these people need our help at this very difficult time. My mum, once she was told she was terminal, I had 6 weeks with her. 6 weeks of paying their council tax, that's not as much. Especially when, at the moment, we are good with finances, we've sold some of our assets, we've got a good budget, we can do it. Because we're not going to give everyone willy-nilly, and when you're told you're terminal, you get official paper, because you're under the palliative team. So no one can con you. So I really ask you to think about it and support this motion. Thank you.
Do you wish to reply?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone for the support, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item of business is to receive a report on a constitutional update, which will be moved by the leader.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just really to draw there's a number of I was going to say fairly arcane points in here, but I'm allowed to say that, aren't I? The various pieces of tidying up and such like. I'm not sure that I can add a great deal to the notes on any of them, so I'm quite happy to move the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All the other reports will be by show of hands. The next item of business is to receive a report from the Audit and Governance Committee 2024-25, which will be moved by the Chair of the Audit Committee, Councillor Whittingham.
Right, no. Please can you vote by show of hands?
And then the next item of business is to receive a report from the Overview and Scrutiny Committees, to be moved by Councillor Tony Humphreys.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to keep remembering to put this on, because I once got told off because I wasn't on the screen, and I forgot it's been televised. Madam Mayor, at the last Council Forum I promised to bring forward the Overview and Scrutiny annual report to this meeting. Madam Mayor, that's now in front of you. This is work that was carried out by the scrutiny in 2024 and 25. Bear in mind that we're now into another year. The Council work for the scrutiny meetings by the Chair of the Policy and Corporate Resources. Can I thank all the chairs and all the vice chairs, all the committee members for the hard work which they've done throughout 24-25. Can I also thank all the officers for attending all the scrutiny committees to bring their expertise from their various departments for us to scrutinise. Can I also thank Democratic Service staff for the hard work which they do in producing agendas, reports and gathering information together for us to be able to scrutinise. And can I at the same time thank all members of the Council for attending. I have to say that in the past 6 months attendances have increased and everyone is taking a vital part in scrutiny. Don't forget we are judged as a council on our scrutiny when the LGA comes to audit us. There are of course some legacies which are still to be completed. The main one is the digital changeover, to make sure that we deliver that service not only to council employees but also to the members of the public as well, so they're comfortable in when they contact the town hall that they're able to fill those forms in when they're claiming either benefits, housing benefit, or for whatever other ways they have to contact the council. I'm thinking of blue badges and that sort of thing, which have been difficult in the past for us, but with the two technology, hopefully that's going to make it more easier for people to do so. And that's about it, Madam Mayor. I'll move the report, and I ask any other committee chairs if they want to contribute to that report. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just going to second.
Yeah, I was going to second that, but anyway, it's been done. I can only echo what Councillor Humphreys has said. Our meeting was very well attended against in the past, so that's a positive thing. And I think Councillor Humphreys is absolutely right what he has said. Nothing more to add. Thank you.
Report carried.
Thank you. The next item of business is to receive reports from the Leader and the executive members with portfolios, with the first report being the Leader's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, lots of the reports are all pretty self-explanatory. It would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that the inspection into children's services produced a good outcome, and that in itself is a really funnily enough, it's a point that I think we made earlier in my reply to Mr. Cade, really, which is that we don't. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say that not many of us, when we are doing our day-to-day council work, get asked questions about children's services. But of course, the expenditure is huge. And it's hugely important. I mean, this is about young people being brought up in this borough and about us trying to make sure that young people, some of whom have obviously had very, very traumatic experiences, that we can do the best for them. So the fact that the council was, and the Children's Services Department was viewed as good is a great tribute. And it's... Well, it's a great tribute, and it obviously, having said that, of course, it sets a standard for further years to come. But I'm sure that that's something really that I know that the department really wants to sort of pick up and to do more with. So that was the point that I think I was going to make. The rest of it, as I said, is what I did just want to mention, Madam Mayor, is that August the 15th is VJ Day, and for those of us of a certain age, I won't make an observation about a certain age, but I had an uncle who was involved in what I think has become historically known as the Forgotten Army. So obviously, VE Day happened, everybody got very excited and all of that stuff. And there was a group of servicemen and women still continuing to fight and to live in terrible conditions in places like Burma and such like. And what's sad about this note that I've received, and I think Councillor Slater's got it as well, is that it looks like that same level of forgottenness is going to happen again. So we obviously had national arrangements around VE Day and such like, and it looks like there are none at all for VJ Day. So there's a letter come, I think, to me. I think Councillor Slater's got one, really saying, can we just do something? It seems really sad to me that 70 years on, the concept of the Forgotten Army is still really being continued. And I think what I'd certainly like to suggest is that whatever it is that I know what it is we're being asked to do, which in truth isn't hugely complicated, is the kind of thing we should do. But it does strike me, Madam Mayor, that there's a story there. It's remiss. There is a mistake being made. It's been made again. It's been made ever since 1945, and I think that's just really sad. But I think the appeal really to Blackburn with Darwen Council is that in our own small way we need to do whatever it is that we can to commemorate those people who could, the soldiers, the servicemen, and the prisoners of war particularly, who continued to be occupied all the way through into the middle of August. They may well be forgotten by the nation, but they shouldn't be by us. Thank you.
Councillor Merrill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Riley, I'd welcome, as a former serving personnel in the Army, those VJ Day celebrations, whatever they may be. I welcome that. But on your report, you just mentioned Refugee Week. Blackburn's always been a welcoming place to refugees. Could you give us an idea of the number of refugees, illegal immigrants and economic migrants that we are currently supporting in the borough, and what numbers are we expecting to support in the next 12 months, please? Because obviously there is issues with that, and it is quite a hot topic across the country at the moment. Thank you.
Councillor Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few points. The first one is, I am the first person to be very critical of this council when they do something wrong, but I'm also happy to praise when they've done something right. And children's services is so important, and it is so nice to see this improve and get this standard. We've had our conversations at the exec board, we've had our conversations in this room, and I have been uber critical sometimes, quite rightly in my report, but I'm happy to see this. This is a really good news story for the people, the young children in this borough that need us. And Councillor Riley's quite right. It's not the thing that we normally talk about, that we normally do, because in our council lives people ring up about use the bins or lights or roads or something like that. It's very rarely, unless it's something critical, that they ring us for that. And anyone that's dealt with children's services, as that happened on their ward, will find out that it's a really good service and it's really well run to that extent. But I do agree that it is a really good news story. The second one is, obviously, I quite agree with you about VJ Day. I've had the same emails as you have. I think it is a remiss. I mean, if someone's seen all the historic filming of how barbarically they were treated and how it was done, it is, in this day and age, if you looked at that now, you would just cringe and think, what the heck? But I think it is the forgotten. And I think there were so many people that suffered when they came back and it wasn't recognised, the trauma that they went through. I think I'm happy to support anything that we can do and we can do together to do that. Obviously, the local government reorganisation, that's now coming thick and fast. We will see the things going in November. We hope we will then see something come through concrete in the new year, and I would hope that would fast track the new authorities pretty quickly, and then we have some clarity of where Lancashire will be. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. Councillor Dave Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on VJ Day on 16th of August, there's an exhibition in Darwen Heritage Centre, which was supported by Darwen Town Council. That'll take place. There was an exhibition for VE Day, which was absolutely excellent for those who went. I know Councillor Taylor went when he was Mayor. So that's, like I said, supported by Darwen Town Council. It's very, very good, and it's in Darwen Heritage Centre from the 16th of August. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Salim Sadat, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I also thank everyone at Children's Services and the Exec Member for Children's Services for a good report. Just a couple of questions, Councillor Riley. Will the Crisis Resilience Fund really fully replace the Household Support Fund with equal and greater flexibility and resources? And will the government increase funding and integration support for the local authorities participating in the refugee resettlement and asylum dispersal? Thank you, Madam.
Councillor Mustafa Desai, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, Phil, I'd like to lend my support to any proposal that you come up with regarding the VG in collaboration with John. I'm happy to support that going forward. I want to congratulate Children's Services for some exemplary work. Job well done, and credits to the officers and the exec member. Well done. Just going to mention the Festival of Making. I know, as the report says, it's established itself as an event for Blackburn, and it works wonders for, bringing people together, all the different cultures and communities together. It's an absolute wonderful festival that's celebrated in Blackburn, and I'd like to thank everybody involved in making that possible. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Desai. Councillor Damien Talbot.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Given that the question that Councillor Morrow asked about migration figures, asylum seekers, refugees, falls under my portfolio, I thought it's proper that I respond to that one, if that's okay, Leader. In terms of, you make a point about us welcoming refugees and Refugee Week, as Madam Mayor mentioned, and I think has been mentioned, and we do have a reputation in this borough for doing our bit to welcome those who have fled from persecution and trauma, etc., and we continue to uphold that. In terms of asylum numbers, the quota for asylum at any one time in this borough is 0.5% of the population, which is 770. That was a quota that was set by the previous government. It was previously half that, and then it was put to a double because obviously asylum numbers increased over the last few years. So that's the number of asylum seekers being managed within the borough at any one time. And we have an allocation of funds from government to do that and to support those people. That will actually be a report on the next Executive Board as well, so you'll see the detail of that. In terms of other legal migration or illegal migration, they're not matters that the Council deals with directly. It's the government that processes immigration applications. People make them individually. It may be a question that you want to put through to national government, but we don't have those figures specifically. Hopefully that helps. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Riley, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you. I don't think there's much more that I could add to what Councillor Talbot has said. I mean, that's the number. It's a number that's been agreed. Well, it was agreed previously. It's still here. The issue, obviously, that I think, well, that various people have alluded to, is that once people do have leave to stay, then I think we want to be supportive. We want those people to, as rapidly as possible, I think, start to become good and functioning citizens and if necessary, learn skills and all the things that we would want them to do. And in terms of the dispersal scheme, I think that Councillor Sidat. So I am aware that there is going to be a number of Afghan former military arriving in the vicinity very soon. I think they're going to be domiciled in the former Tickle Trout, which I think explains why there's a very large barrier fencing has gone up. So these are people, as we all know, who were promised. They fought on the side of the British Army in Afghanistan. They were promised, well, they've been let down in very simple terms. So that's something that is going to happen, and my guess would be that it wouldn't be a great surprise if some of those people ended up seeking themselves here. But they will be in the Tickle Trout for 1 year is the story I think I've understood, and that's that dispersal scheme which I think you were speaking about. Okay, LGR. The story goes on, as they say. Where have we got to? I think we're pretty clear that there will not be an election for a mayor in. So this is on the context of devolution. There won't be an election for a mayor in 2026. Mainly, I have to say, because the new rulers at Lancashire County Council have found it very difficult to work out whether they thought this was a good idea or not. They went through a process of seeking a referendum, which is nowhere in any of the legislation. It's taken a while, but they've been told that there isn't a referendum. But what I think that's done is it's knocked us back. So 2026, I think, is a non-runner in terms of the mayoral election. What is, however, happening is that we have to submit our different thoughts, and they are all different, I'm afraid, our different thoughts on what LGR looks like in Lancashire. We have to submit that by the back end of November, when I think we're hoping for some fairly rapid response from the government, which will decide which one of the what are going to be a number of options. I don't think we know how many at the moment. So I think that's what we would hope for. And in fact, I mean, I think I've just seen a sort of long letter that we've just got from the Minister, which sort of starts to lay out what the process looks like. It's not different particularly from what I think we thought, which is that there will be an election in 2027 for the new authority, whatever that may be, and this authority Blackburn with Darwen, and those of us, and us lot, if you want, we will continue, I think, we will continue through to the middle of 2028. So for the year of 27-28, some of us will have been elected to serve on the new authority, and the rest of us, and some of them will be the same people, will effectively close this authority down up to the 1st of April on 2028. The elephant in the room is, will we have elections next year? And I have to say, reading this, I've just read it twice, and it's pretty hard to work out. Some of it looks like the answer's no, and some of it looks like the answer's yes. So we will have to see where that gets us to. But the headline story, I think, John, is that the local authorities will submit their proposals. Hopefully the government will make a rapid choice, and then there will be a period of consultation around that, heading in the direction of the decision being made, and I think that's where we still are. I don't think there's anything further. Sorry, there is something that's just gone racing through my head, and now it's raced out again, really, which was one thing that they have made a little bit clearer. But I think what we'll probably do is circulate that letter to everybody, really, because it's a pertinence to everybody here. Because it's about, but certainly there is going to be, certainly everybody in this room in Charlotte who is still with us will serve through to 2028, middle of was Blackburn with Darwen, and in the meantime there will be a group working to build up the new authority, which I think I'm absolutely convinced will be an East Lancashire authority. And the only, with or without a Ribble Valley, I think is probably the only debate of any grade. Our friends in Burnley have got a slightly different view of this, but I think it's not going to happen in practical terms. So I think there will be an East Lancashire authority, and it will be a challenge.
Thank you. The next report is from the Executive Member for Children, Young People and Education, Councillor Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to start by thanking members who've already mentioned, as the leader did, the fantastic Ofsted result that we're now able to bring to full council. I was delighted to bring the report to Executive Board recently, and you know, this really is testament to our dedicated, hard-working and committed teams of staff in Blackburn with Darwen, who absolutely go above and beyond to make sure that those children and young people that they serve get the very best, because that's what they deserve. Phil's quite right, we are ambitious. We don't really want to remain good. We'd like to be, you know, knocking on the door of the next category. We are very ambitious, but we're also very realistic. We've spoken already this evening about the costs of children's social care and the public question about how do we, you know, what will we do with our reserve? Well, you know, members can probably predict that between Jackie and myself, we'll take care of that, because that's in the interest of our children and young people. So thank you for those comments. It is delightful to be able to recognise that here. We were determined that our children and young people deserved more than a requires improvement judgment that we had formally, and this is exactly where we've got to and where we wanted to be. I'm very clear that the leadership team led by our Director of Children's Services has been absolutely fundamental in changing the culture in our children's services, and that has had a hugely positive impact on everyone. I'd also like to just highlight in the report that our family hubs are now 2 years old. They go from strength to strength. We're already leading on some of the government reforms into children's social care through the early help, and that's been established across all of our family hubs. And also the very last addition to my report is obviously now I'm responsible also for adult education, and the Connect to Work funding that's come into Greater Lancashire, as the government are calling it, is absolutely delightful to see. 38.8 million coming into the county, and because we are now the combined county authority, we have much more authorship and ownership of what that looks like. I sit on the local Lancashire Combined County Authority Skills Advisory Board. We've just had the Get Lancashire Working draft plan for our approval to head up to the Lancashire Combined County Authority to sign off. And that really speaks to both the national government but also this local government's ambitions to facilitate, to support young people, particularly into employment, by working with young people but also by working with employers to support them both through that transition period. But the Connect to Work programme is particularly around for those people not of all ages who have not been able to work due to health conditions. So these approaches that the national government are bringing out and we are able to facilitate and to create as our own in Lancashire Combined County Authority are really why we've always been in favour of a devolution to this great area. So I'll move the report and take any questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there a seconder for Councillor Gunn's report? Thank you. Is there any questions? Vicky McGurk. Councillor McGurk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to say on Councillor Gunn's report, congratulations. Massive, massive well done. Lots of praise and adulation tonight, but actually, as Julie said, it isn't just money that goes into this. I think there's a thanks to the officers, thanks to finance team, the legal team who support on children's services, but also just to say, like I say, it isn't just money. There's a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work's gone into changing the outcomes to good. So massive congratulations to everybody.
Councillor Abrams, Ms Masters, please. Councillor Abraham Masters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question, and obviously this is not shadowing the great work that's been done. Absolutely fantastic. It's just an observation. The observation is, I've read a report that says a large proportion of East Lancs children are being expelled. I'm trying to get my head around as to what the root cause of this is. So I just want some information around that. If you can email me, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Masters. Councillor Gunn, do you wish to reply?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Vicky, thank you so much. You're absolutely right. It's not just about the money. It's about what happens to our children and young people and the partnership that wraps their love and support around those young people. So thank you. I'll make sure that we pass that back to the teams. Councillor Masters, I think in terms of school exclusions, I think we're talking about school exclusions, yeah. If you're talking about East Lancashire, that might be slightly different because you might be referring to Lancashire County Council. But in terms of Blackburn with Darwen, what I can assure you is our inclusion team works incredibly closely with schools because children miss in education. It's not just about the learning they miss. There's a whole social, contextual safeguarding concern that we would have if children are regularly missing school. So we're really prompt to challenge schools in terms of exclusions. We've had a very positive story in the last academic year that have reduced our school exclusions and temporary suspensions. I can get those figures directly for you. I don't know off the top of my head, though I do get them regularly. I could probably get them by the end of the meeting. They're just on my laptop. But what I can tell you is we work very closely with schools because every day in school matters, and we don't want schools excluding pupils unnecessarily or perhaps as a method of control. But we'll get those figures to you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Can I have Hans Schill, please, on that report?
Thank you. The next report is from the Executive Member for Digital and Customer Services, Councillor Shawkat Hussain.
Just before I move my report, Madam Mayor, can I just give the heads up to all the members that in the coming weeks you'll be getting some invites to some IT training. And I just can't emphasise the importance that we do this training. You might have read M&S got hacked just lately and it cost them £350 million. Gateshead Council got attacked, personal data was stolen. The extent of the damages is still being investigated. Leicester City Council, Gloucester City Council and Hackney City Council have all been hacked. So it's really important that we do this eye training. We've got a lot of built-in interlocks, but we can't be complacent. So it's really important, and I encourage you all to take up this training. With that, I move my report.
Can I have a seconder for that report, please?
Second.
Thank you.
Mustafa Kasai.
Yeah. Mustafa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Shonky, for that report. I'm going to refer to the article that was published in the Lancashire Telegraph a couple of days ago. This overarches into the portfolio as well, and I think I'm referring to the complaints, the increase in complaints, which were quite significant, significant around the winter issues that we've had. I know we'll have a short winter. We have a few days where, we have snow and everything sort of goes pear-shaped, and the elected members get the backlash of a lot of the stuff there. We did have some discussions last year towards the end of the winter period, and it was a suggestion that we do some forward planning in terms of how to mitigate some of them complaints towards the end of the year. I would like to request the exec member for the respective portfolio to pick that up in order to try and minimise some of the complaints that are coming in. And also I'd like to ask a question regarding the satisfaction around emails. I think it's 63, it stands at 63%. Are we learning any lessons from what, it is quite low in my opinion. I think with the rest of it, so above 70. So I'd like that to sort of be raised a bit, and I think there's something that we may need to do to try and bring that up as well and bring that satisfaction level up. Thank you.
Councillor, sit down.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Have we already audited which buildings we need to upgrade regarding Martin's Law? Thank you. Have we already audited which buildings we need to look at regarding Murphy's Law?
To reply.
Thanks for that, Mustafa. On the article in the Telegraph, it was a comprehensive report that we sent out with a lot of detail, but with hindsight, because it's seasonal complaints, to be more accurate, we should have compared that quarter to the quarter before, the year before. And had we done that, we'd actually improved by 18%. So I think in hindsight we should have reported it slightly different. But I get what you're saying, and obviously most of the complaints were winter related. But just on that topic, if we went quarter by quarter, this quarter we've improved from the last quarter. But I think in hindsight we should be monitoring to get an accurate comparison quarter by quarter from previous year, because they are seasonal. On your emails, you also mentioned I think Waqar sent me an email, and I've just picked it up. We do reply within the day, and they're not automatic replies, because automatics are instant. You just get an instant reply. These are replied by humans, so I think they do well. But most of those complaints, when they come in, this is the front door, that's where they come in. From there, they're cascaded or delegated to different departments. Could be children's, adults, environment. Once they get there, some are easy to resolve, some are a bit complex. But once they've gone, it's that department that deals with them. But if there's any specific case, let me know and I'll chase it up. Sid, on yours, sorry, I couldn't hear. But yes, the answer is yes, we've implemented it. Martin's law. Thank you.
Can I have a show of hands, please, in support of that report?
I think, Councillor.
Sorry, I raised my hand a little bit later. I just wanted to fill in what Shaukat is, the query that I sent him. I had a look at the report yesterday, and it did say that there were 7,500 emails received, and 100% of those emails were answered within 1 working day. My question was that is this an automatic response, or is this a response by a staff member? And Shaukat replied saying that it is a staff member that replies.
Thank you, Councillor Sen. If you want to speak, please make sure you put your hand up because neither of us saw you. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I thought I answered that. They are answered by humans. It's not an automatic reply.
No, I just wanted to let everybody else know what the query was because I emailed it to you.
Report, please.
Thank you. The next report is from the Executive Member for Adult Social Care and Health, Councillor Jackie Floyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have an update on this report before I move it. It mentions CQC. It's a reply that we've been waiting for a long time for. The whole process started back in November. The press release went out this morning. I don't know how many of the members are on social media. If you want to look at CQC Now website, we are good. Yes. Not only are we good, we're good because we are also look up the number of boroughs that get good for children's and good for adults, are comparable with their levels of deprivation and their budget responsibility. You put all those 4 things together, we are good. And I make no bones about that at all. I want to give thanks to absolutely every single member of staff, all those that attended every single meeting and gave that feedback, from the leadership given by Mark Warren and the leader and Denise. We got good marks for leadership, and that's because we have a solid Labour group that's been building those foundations for a long time. So did I tell you that we're good? Yeah. Because we're good. I might mention it again over the next coming weeks, months, years. I'm not going to let you forget. So Madam Mayor, on behalf of all of us, will you make sure that every single member of staff gets a big thank you, and all of those brother and sister organisations that we work alongside. A couple of other little updates from the Blackburn and Carers strategy to reassure you that the action plan from them is cracking on. I've had the honour in the past week to hear the members of that Carers board who have lived experience. If you get a chance to watch their videos on YouTube, get your tissues ready. But it's wonderful that we now engage so many of our residents with lived experience in everything that we do. And at the end, the Lancashire and Cumbria Integrated Care Board, it's been announced they have finally nominated a new chief exec, Aaron Cummins, who we look forward to working alongside. He'll be appointed, come into his office in November, and we'll make sure that he knows that we're good, and that we know how to work collaboratively towards the 10-year plan. With that, Madam Mayor, I move the report. Take any questions.
Can I have a seconder for that report, please?
Madam Mayor. Just wanted to say, I said congratulations to Julie already. So far tonight we've heard about a good outturn for the last financial year, good finance. We've heard about good children's services, and now we're hearing about good adult services. And as was said earlier in the public question and what the leader said, these are services that are statutory. These are legal duties. These are the things that we have to do. These are the things that we have to spend money on. These are the things that if we don't do, and we don't do well, we get into serious trouble. So, thank you very much. We're a good council. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Councillor McGurk. Mustafa Desai, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, just to sort of reiterate what Phil said, that some services like children's services, adult social care, they do go under the radar. There's some fantastic work going on. And the reports that have been published recently are reflective of the fine work that's been done. Many congratulations to the adult social care team. Mark, you've done an exemplary job. Jackie, well done. Catherine White, and the rest of the team. I think you've been, absolutely fantastic, and you deserve all the credit for this. Long may it continue, and I think we've got some ambitions of, like Julie said, that we want to sort of try and go up the notch a little bit. I'm sure Mark will aspire to the challenge there as well, and take it in the right direction. So well done to all involved, and long may it continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Desai. Sajali, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to echo what Jackie's already said. Mustafa, first and foremost, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Mark and his team for the exceptional work that's been done. Jackie, you've been brilliant throughout. Abdul, Damien, in fact, every single member in this chambers, I'd like to congratulate everybody on this achievement, both in children's services as well as our adult social care, and I'm proud to be part of the adult social care. And the immense amount of work was being carried out by the staff, the social workers, the care workers, the credit goes to everybody, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Councillor Phil Riley, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the risk of being boring, I too want to congratulate Mark and all his staff really, and Jackie for her untiring leadership. It's a terrific story. As lots of people have said, this isn't the stuff that we get too often called to get involved in as councillors. But it is statutory. It costs a lot of money. And to be in a situation where we've got good in both of those services is a terrific tribute really to the council, to everybody, just to everybody who has had any part at all to play in it. It's a terrific story really, and I suppose the only bit of negativity that one might put on it, Madam Mayor, is that it is highly likely when we do this again that we will be the East Lancashire Unitary Authority, and there will be a challenge indeed. But congratulations to everybody for everything that they have done.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor Elaine Whittingham.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll take you back to the first scrutiny that you chaired, and Mark Warren walked in, and we both looked at each other and said, I hope he's as good as he talks. Today's result, I think, proves that. So, without question, I want to pay tribute to Mark Warren, and it's been a joy to watch the evolution you've made in adult services. I'm sorry I brought you in front of Audit Committee as well. Pass our regards to all the team, but I'd like to give praise to Jackie Floyd as well, because we all know that she's tireless. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Whittingham. Councillor John Sater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't want to put a dampener on your party, but for all of us that have read the ICB report, everybody in this chamber should be extremely concerned about the cuts that are coming and the severity of them, and how it's going to affect everybody in Lancashire and Cumbria. And I'd like to this exec member, if she put a plan in place to negate this, or to put our case forward to try and negate the actual drastic cuts that are coming of nearly 50%. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. Councillor Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the risk of repeating, I just want to congratulate Jackie and Mark. It's a fantastic achievement, as Phil has said and Jackie has said, to have both areas, substantive areas of the council rated as good is wonderful, and I really am so proud of Jackie for taking on that mantle when she did fairly recently, and really getting hold of adult services and working closely, not just with Mark and the teams here in Blackburn with Darwen, but obviously through Children's Services as well. They work very closely through transitions, etc. But also this is a partnership. And this partnership working is something that we always talk about in Blackburn with Darwen, that is one of our strengths. We've made no secret of the fact that over 14, 15 years of austerity, we have had to work very closely with partners, be that in the statutory partners in health or police and education, but also through our voluntary sector as well. So congratulations, Jackie, Mark, it's wonderful, and it's great that we can actually shout about it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Councillor Connaught.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I may also like to congratulate Mark and his team, but also Jackie, the wonderful work they've been doing. It's so much. I was one of the first ones who went through the interviews, and it was so vigorous, so much that it was hard to believe, having never been on one before. It was really, really good. But you know, you've got to thank and you've got to congratulate each and every one in those departments who've done tremendous work. You know, when you look at our departments, our portfolio against other areas, and at the time of inspections, other areas were waiting for results, and you could see the tension, the pressure they were all going through, and it's already been mentioned about what's coming, ahead. So bearing all that in mind, I think you've done a wonderful job. Pulling a good is fantastic. So well done and congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Connaught. Before I ask you to vote on this, I just want to... Sorry. Oh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just, with the consent of the executive member, I'd like to respond to Councillor John Slater's comment about the ICB reductions, because again, this is a matter that does tend to cut across the portfolios, as a number do with this. Blackburn with Darwen has the chair of the ICP at the moment, which is the partnership of the Integrated Care Board. So I chair those meetings, and we have regular budget updates. What I would say about the reductions at the ICB, we have inherited deficits from the structures that have built up over many, many years. The Labour government has been in power for a year. The deficits in the ICB, £500 million, go back over many years. They didn't just appear less than 12 months ago, they were already there. So there are significant deficits that have to be dealt with because they weren't tackled when they should have been tackled. The actual reductions that are referred to in this report are the reductions in the running cost budgets of the ICB, though. So just to assure you, that isn't about reductions in services, that is reductions in administration costs. Again, these are issues that maybe should have been tackled previously. We look at NHS England, which the government has announced will be disbanded, and that is a reduction that I think most people would agree with, actually, because that's bureaucracy that we would think doesn't need to be there. So I would assure people, but also just remind everybody where those deficits and issues arise originally. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I've said what I've said.
Can you go through the mayor, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before I move... Yeah, I was just going to say that. Before we move to the vote, Jackie has a floor to reply, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think Damien has given well, because we are good, we are in a good position to deal with those changes to the services that are coming, that aren't actually our statutory responsibility. So I remind the members that adult social care and local government is delivering the services that we're responsible for. I chair PLACE, and that's part of maintaining those good relationships between East Lancashire Hospitals Trust, the ICB through the ICP, the Lancashire and South Cumbria Trust, that's the mental health, and children's services, and we work together. That's part of what we were applauded for, was our strength-based attitude and making sure that we enable our citizens to live good lives. And where does that mainly come from? Because we have a growth agenda which has been enabling the two key things for good health are really a job and a decent home. So that's why we've gone for growth all these years. Now we know that your lot set up the ICB, and we had questions about that when it was being set up. We are where we are because we have good. We're in a damn good place to negotiate what's right and true and good for our citizens. It puts us in the drive. Do I have a plan? Yes, we have a plan, and it's maintaining those good, strong relationships with all those organisations and not being led by flannel that goes on in the social media. With that, I'll pass the report. Thank you.
Councillor Floyd. I'll have another go. Before I ask you to vote on this, I would just like to make a personal comment. I have been a councillor for 22 years, and I have been on adult services well, it was social services when I first came on. I know how hard the staff work. I know the conditions that they've had to put up with, the changes. Whichever government's been in power is irrelevant. There hasn't been the money around for a long time. And I wish to congratulate the team and ask Mark to pass my personal thanks and say how wonderful it is because they have really worked hard. Now, can I take a vote on it, please? That's carried.
Thank you. The next report is from the Executive Member for Environment and Communities, Councillor Jim Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just before moving the report, I'd like to update the Council on two exciting projects that have happened in Blackburn this week with Darwin. We've opened the new tennis courts up at Corporation Park with a new game, I don't know how you play. Pickleball, apparently. Yeah, apparently it's very exciting. So we've opened that, so I'd encourage everyone to go up and have a look at it and have a do. And another one we've opened in Darwin Bath, which is really exciting because it's the biggest in the country, is the new inflatables for children to play on. They're open at the weekends. It really is exciting stuff. You should take your own children, Jackie. Take John and Neil up. They'll have a lovely day, trust me. They'll have a lovely day. But it is a really good thing, and we're having it indoor as well. In the gym, there's going to be like a big blow-up there for people to use. So adults will be able to use that as well. So I would welcome anybody to go up and have a look at it. It is exciting stuff. And with that, I'll move the report and take any questions. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder for that report? Thank you. Any questions? Yeah. Councillor Patel. Councillor Marrow.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Neil Slater.
It's just to thank you. The stuff in Darwin Bath has been a real success. All the Darwin councillors will tell you that. Yeah, it's been a real good laugh around the beer and a real good talk. So thank you for putting it there. And I know that Darwin people are getting a lot of fun and a lot of use out of it. And the one for adults, That's one for me and you.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. Councillor Paul Marrow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick one, Jim. I know it's not in the report, but 2 years ago there was a fire at the crematorium. 18 months ago, when I asked about the cost to the council of it and the fire report, you said you'd bring the fire report to this council as soon as you got it. Can we have it, please? Or at least, can I have a look at it, please, and the cost that it cost to the council in lost revenue? Thank you. Thank you,
Councillor Mahood, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think just on the point on the investment that we as the controlling group have made into the Corporation Park, members will remember, I think 18 months ago, we announced roughly £750,000 worth of investment across the park on many different projects, and those projects are now coming to completion, and one of those projects is the tennis pickleball. That has actually helped us to get the additional investment of £65,000 from the Lawn Tennis Association to actually renovate the tennis courts. And I myself, together with colleagues and Councillor Corner, were there on Monday morning, and yourself, Madam Mayor, sort of viewing that fantastic facility and speaking to the residents who'd already turned up. We're queuing up to come and take a taster session for tennis and the pickleball, and the national team and the divisional director for the Pickleball Association were present. So a great opportunity for our residents and residents wider across East Lancashire to get involved with physical activity and take up this support. I'm told it's growing by the day, and we've got the facility on our doorsteps, and I welcome it, and I thank Jim and his teams for all their work. Thank you.
Councillor Khan.
Thank you for that. Just congratulations on the reports, first and foremost. But whilst we're on the topic of pitches, could we get an update on what's happening at the old weather pitches that's been approved at the Bangor Street Community Centre? They've been laying there for God knows for what reason, but we have the funding for it. It was in the papers. If we can get an update on that, because residents are always asking myself that what's going on with them, that would be good. Thank you.
Mr. Hussain.
In terms of the tennis club at Corporation Park, congratulations. I think we need more sports. I am disappointed, however, that the Cross Hill Tennis Club that's been around for 115 years wasn't consulted, and we are now going to struggle, or my colleagues will struggle to run the club because we are going to struggle for membership, because Corporation Park, I believe, is free and we are a members club. So I'm disappointed that we weren't consulted.
Thank you, Councillor Sen. Councillor John Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not really bothered whether Damien answers this or whether Jim answers this, but I'm sure everyone in this chamber would like to know. We passed a motion last council meeting about veterans for free leisure. I would like to know how that's going on. I would like, please could they give the council chamber an update on how it's progressing, because I've had plenty of questions. Thank you.
Councillor Corner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also wanted to thank, the exec member, but more than anything, it's keeping the price low, which will attract so many people to go. As you saw yourself, Madam Mayor, the amount of people who attended, the experts, some of the Olympic medals were there to support, the good cause. So it was really, really good to see. But when you compare all the development there at the moment against a few years ago, when people were desperate and it was winter time and all that, this is really, really good, fantastic. Job well done. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that when I did go up there, I was very, very impressed. And I think one of the good things is council don't give themselves much credit sometimes, but one of the good things, it's opened at the school holidays. And they were already queuing up. So, it's just an amazing facility, and well done. Would you like to reply, Councillor Smith? Would like to give the reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just start with all those who was thanking the department. I agree with you. There's been some excellent work in the leisure department by some very good officers that we've got there. So I will pass that on for those who have thanked us. Councillor said it's a council asset, this. And we do talk to a lot of people, but it is a council asset. It's not a private asset. This is for anybody in the borough to use. You know, so that's probably why you weren't asked your opinion on it. As for John, we're still looking at it, John. The idea of giving free leisure is a lot more complicated than you think. There's a cost to everything. So we're still looking at what's the best way of us dealing with that. What else do we have here? Sully, passing your thanks. Okay. What's this? I think that was about it, weren't it? Oh, yeah. He's going to email you with the answer to that. He knows more about it than I do. And with that, yeah. I'll thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can you show of hands, please, in favour of the report?
Okay, the next report is from the Executive Member for Housing and Public Health, Councillor Damien Talbot.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of remarks on moving the report. I just wanted to welcome back Councillor Brian Taylor to the Public Health and Housing team. We know how much he loves this area of work, and he was very sad to leave it for a while, and I know he's glad to be back, and he's getting back stuck into things. That's great. And best wishes to Councillor Zamir Khan, who I think we've worked together for about 14 years continuously, so I'm very sad to see Zamir go, but I know he's enjoying his new role in growth. So I'd like to say that. The other point was just in respect of household support round 7 even. 7, I've lost track of the numbers now. Clearly, this is something that I think, as I've said previously, we'd rather we didn't have a need for something like Household Support Fund, but we are in that position and we still have people struggling, sadly. One of the things I've said previously when these reports have gone through Exec Board is, if we do have to have a fund, we'd like it more in a longer period rather than having to plan every single year and having to have staff step down and step up. The uncertainty and the inefficiency of that. I'm very pleased that the government is continuing this fund all the way through the term of this Parliament now, so we do have that continued funding, that better sustainability and better efficiency. It's going to be called the Crisis and Resilience Fund, but the funding is there and we can work with partners on that, so that's good. The other point as well, which is mentioned in the report, in the work that we've done on free school meals, that's something that we've pioneered. We've made use of the Household Support Fund with that for the schools, and now the government is extending the access to that, so maybe the government's listened to us. So with that, I'd like to move the report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak on the report? Councillor Desai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to relate it's not directly in relation to the report itself, but it's a good news story. So, about 4 weeks ago, I sustained a knee injury, and rather than going up to the A&E, I opted to go to one of the minor injury centres, and the one I picked was Accrington. I must say that the service was absolutely fabulous. I was in and out, X-rayed. The consultant came and had a chat with me, and out of there within 45 minutes. And the follow-up were absolutely, superb, because I got a call the following day for physio, which has been followed up subsequently with that as well. So I think there's been some good work within the portfolio from yourself and from Abdul in trying to sort of get to this position where the waiting times are reduced particularly for injuries such as, minor injuries. And I think the facilities are there, so they're not advertised really well. People still opt to go to the A&E often, which creates some pressures for the hospital. So I think we may benefit from trying to sort of promote that a little bit more, and I'm happy to provide, some support on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Desai. Councillor Patel. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on the bowel screening, are we doing any more events, or is it a regular screening? Anywhere like people can go? Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patel. Councillor Floyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make the point again of thanking the Public Health and Housing, because part of getting good for CQC is because we include housing under our adult services, and not every borough does that, so thank you.
Councillor Floyd. Councillor Kapadia.
First of all, many congratulations to all the team involved in Curry Club bowel screening. 200 plus attendants, so effective management, one of a kind, so where South Asian communities were involved. So, but we could benefit by including the quantitative outcome. So something like results dashboard or annex of KPIs or measurable outcomes like uptake. And perhaps we could also benefit by establishing plans, documents for future initiatives like that. Also, congratulations on HSF shifting to preventative way is really helpful. So it's like a long-term strategic planning, also focusing on free school meals, and so congratulations on that one as well. Thanks for.
Councillor Cornett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the screening event, and to get so many people, I thought we had much more than 200, but to get so many people at 11 o'clock in the morning is fantastic during the week. It's really good. So it was well attended, well advised, and that. But more than anything, Madam Mayor, the stalls around all about health, that was really good to see. I hope it's the beginning of so many to come in the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cornett. Is that it? No more questions? So if you'd like to reply, Talbot.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And thanks for the questions and comments. I'll just try and work through these in order. Councillor Desai on the feedback about the minor injuries unit there, which I presume was at the Acorn in Accrington. It's really good to get that feedback. There's been a lot of controversy across the area because of the closure of the hospital in Accrington, and a lot of unhappiness there from the population. So, and fear that it would put more pressure onto Royal Blackburn Hospital. So it's really good to hear that you've had a good service there, and I've heard that feedback elsewhere. I think you make a good point about the publicity that's needed for that, because it is a good facility, and people just have this perception that if you're not well, really not well, the first place goes to the hospital, and that's not always the best answer. So we'll certainly look to give that feedback to East Lancs Hospital Trust as well, so that's really helpful. Councillor Patel on the bowel screening event, and Councillor Cornett and Kabadi as well. I think there were sort of three combined questions there. It was an excellent event. This is a service that is partly contracted out to be provided. It's a really important service. We've got to get the figures up in terms of assessment, etc., so that we can tackle this really. It's a terrible issue. So it was a great success, and we do want to look at more of those. There will be mobile events around the borough as well. So watch this space for more of that. But we'll give that feedback. I think, Councillor Capaldi, part of your question was about outcome measuring as well. Not all of this it's not entirely within the council's gift, because this is health services, but I will check in terms of what figures the contract gets in terms of the success rate of that, but we'll see what we can get on that. And I take your congratulations on the Household Support Fund work. And Councillor Cornett's comments about the other stalls and so on, which obviously is very important. I think we've got a good CQC, haven't we?
We have,
and we give congratulations. Thank you very much, Councillor Floyd. That's all. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Can I have a show of hands on the report, please? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you. The next report is from the Executive Member for Growth and Development, Councillor Keza Mahmood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of points before I move my report. You will see in the report there's a reference to the Festival of Making, and you yourself made a reference to that. A fantastic two-day festival that we've put up for 9 years now consecutively in Blackburn, and it really has put Blackburn with Darwen on the map. And the leader gets invited to Westminster to talk about the Blackburn model. So it just goes to show the work that is being done is being recognised on a national level. Also earlier on, we had the discussion around our highways investment. The leader covered it, and it's in my report as well. You know, we've got an opportunity here where we've been asking for further investment to continually come forward to invest in our highways, and this government has provided us with additional investment, and we've got that happening across the borough. Over the summer months, we're going to have nearly 60 schemes being delivered. We are condensing this into the summer whilst the schools are out to try and get as much of this to reduce the impact once the schools open. You know, with that comes challenges around road closures and traffic build-up, and I can't make any apologies about that because it's the price you pay for the improvements that we're making. But I also have a plea for all members across the chamber here, because every ward is getting some piece of work being done in their ward. And the officers are writing to you in advance to let you know when works are happening in your areas. My plea and request to everybody is please share that amongst your residents, share that amongst your networks. It's really, really important that residents work with the officers and actually move the cars when they're requested to, because any delays will then impact on the programme being delivered and the possibility of that scheme not being delivered. You may have seen some comms on that on our Facebook pages. And I think the other one is the National Gothic Festival that's coming to the museum. I think it's covered in my report as well. Again, putting the museum and the opportunity for Blackburn to be on the map, and a fantastic 150-year-old iconic museum that we have with sort of loans from the National Library that you wouldn't normally get. So there's a huge programme of works that's happening through starting from September going onwards. So I encourage everybody to, when that happens, please share amongst your networks and do attend, because these artifacts won't be coming out on a regular basis because they are really, really important and expensive. And lastly, before I move the report, Madam Mayor, is obviously our growth programme. And you'll see a number of updates in there, but I wanted to share one particular one where myself, the leader, and ward members from the Keepmoat site just opposite the Royal Blackburn Hospital were there last week at the launch of that site and the opening of their show home. Residents have already moved in, and it's a fantastic facility which is offering a mixed tenure of offerings. You can buy outright, you've got a shared ownership scheme, and we've also got, and as we promised to the NHS, a key worker scheme that is coming up, and that is for first priority to the key workers who work at a hospital and will be able to sort of take up those apartments right across the road, and I'm sure that will help the NHS in terms of efficiency and proficiency in terms of the service delivery. So as a whole, there is a great deal of work happening across the portfolio, and with that I'll move the report and take any questions. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder for that report? Thank you. Marrow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick one first off. Mr Cade mentioned about a pot of money that's potentially there from the Finnington Lane traffic lights. I know he spoke to me about it, and it seems to be there. And the need for that zebra crossing, that crossing near the school at St Francis on Preston Old Road. Will you, along with the leader, look at that seriously, please? But my other question is about your housing strategy going forward, and the fact that, as I mentioned yesterday, it needs to be for people of the borough, not people from outside the borough coming in. I know we have you know, shelter and that do bring people in. I've had discussions with the officers about that. They bring people into the borough. First off, I think we do have to look at providing for the citizens of Blackburn with Darwen. And the other concern with that, going forward, is that we do have a lot of terraced housing, rented accommodation, which in future could quite easily be hoovered up by Serco, which will be a concern for the residents in this borough. So can we please be aware? I know we don't know the numbers coming in, like you just said, Damien, but we have to be aware of that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Guest, for the report. Some really good stuff there. Welcome the work that's been scheduled for not only, you know, most part of the year, I think the whole of the borough. I think you've 60-odd projects, which is absolutely fantastic, improvement of the infrastructure. I'd just like to make a comment regarding some of the workmanship. Recently, we've had a lot of white and yellow lining, and the standard of the work has been absolutely brilliant. The previous contractor, whoever it was, shoddy workmanship. I think some of the stuff that they did last year or the year has already faded. So I think we need to keep an eye on the standard of workmanship and, you know, make sure that it is to that level that we expect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Desai. Councillor Masters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of two questions. Kev says, great job, thank you. The one that plays on my mind is when these developers come in, there is an obligation or a mandatory requirement for social housing. When they develop social housing, obviously every developer has mandatory, regulated that they've got to have a certain percentage of social housing. Now, I'm not going off hearsay, but they are bypassing that by willing to pay the fine. Now, is there any cases that's happening within our borough? That's one. Secondly, going on to what was said about the road safety, I have a serious concern. I worked many years for the ambulance service. I've been to many horrific accidents. My main concern is I see this on a daily basis, some absolute terrible driving on our roads. Now, my concern is for the children. Do we have any statistic that we can support to improve road safety for our children? Because I see it on a daily basis, and it's frightening. I mean, there's been a recent incident on Audley Range. I mean, are we doing anything along that line? Let's have a look at the statistics and let's target these areas where it needs some work doing. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Damien Toll.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just taking Councillor Morrow's point about housing, because that cuts across the two portfolios. And I think the first point about people from outside of the borough, just to be clear, housing needs has priority allocation rights for new social housing in the borough for residents of the borough, so they will get priority. And we've got a number of good schemes in good areas that will help that, and Griffin is a great new scheme that is coming on. We've waited a long time for that, so I think we're all really pleased about that development. On the point about asylum and Serco, I've given you the figure earlier on. That is a nationally set figure. The Home Office has given no indication they're going to change that quota, and we're almost at that quota at the moment. So based on that figure, there's no reason why Serco would look to obtain any further properties, because they couldn't put anyone in them. It would have to be that the government changes the quota to increase it. If they increase it for us, they'll have to increase it for all the other dispersal areas around the country. So that's complex. Personally, I think that's unlikely. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Talbot. Councillor Tasfasel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine is just more of a request, if I may, and just want to raise a concern because it affects a couple of the wards around my area, not just mine. We have a serious issue with constant sewage leaks up on Revidge Road and the road sinking. Over the years gone by, it used to be the odd one, but we're literally having the roads dug up on a monthly basis now, which in turn then costs highways and our budget, because no sooner do they repair, the road sinks again with the sewage seeping through on the underneath. I myself for some time have tried to make head roads with somebody higher up within United Utilities, and it's got a point now where they're just not interested. You speak to the guys who are digging the roads because they're constantly firefighting. And I appreciate, as a council, we have some of the roadworks planned which are quite evident and they're doing a great job, and some are emergency repairs. But when you have an emergency repair and it's done and that's it, that's fine. Residents accept that those things happen. But on Revidge Road, which is one of the most narrowest main roads, you've got several schools at one end which touch Sherbrow and Rowley. We've got Billinge and several other schools at the other end, and it's also a trunk road for traffic leaving the town. And then we've got East Lancs, Queggs down at the bottom of Dukes. Well, the whole of that water system and the sewage system that runs from the top is constantly leaking. We've got several points now that have probably had their 8th or the 9th dig within this year at the same point, and then the roads sink in, we're ringing back, and there's only so much you can say to residents about getting it repaired. They won't understand the fact that it's through a lack of funding or investment from United Utilities. United Utilities have got this thing of firefighting, but not actually really coming out there and seeing what the issue is. There's sewage, there's water pressure, then there's lots of water to the houses, and it's just a constant issue. So I'm just requesting from a colleague behind me here, if they can, maybe they've got something within their remit, within their powers to summon somebody in, because on Revidge Road we cannot continue. You close down one lane, when them coaches are coming through from Queggs or running through, the whole of the road is just packed. It's at a gridlock constantly from 8:30 till 9:30, and again from 3:30 till 4:30, and that's because you can barely get 2 cars past them points normally, and throw a coach in there when there's only one lane. It's not happening, so something needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fassell. Councillor Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to make a point about asylum seekers, because they've been spoken about quite a few times this evening. I'd just like to remind colleagues that some of those people who are seeking asylum are children who are unaccompanied, travelling on their own to reach safety. And Blackburn with Darwen will always welcome those children to the borough. So when we're talking about those figures, please bear that in mind. But I also want to say thank you to Keza. I'm really pleased that the bridge project is going, that's going through the planning process as we speak. That will help us as a borough provide special educational needs education for post-16 within our borough, keeping our children and young people close where we like them to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gunn. Councillor Corner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of questions, really. On the first page of the gully cleaning programme, you're saying it started on the 1st of July 25. Do you mean August to start? And the second question is, right the last line on Imperial Mill, you're saying at the end of June. Do you mean June 26, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corner. Councillor Mustafa Patel.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the executive member and the whole team on the work taking place, the road resurfacing like everywhere. It's already started, and I think it's a brilliant job. Another thing, you mentioned about that councillors will be informed by the officers well before the work start. Yeah, my personal experience, like in past, I had a few works in my ward, but I wasn't even consulted, even informed, and so I'll request exec member to look into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patel. Councillor Parvez Akhtar, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to just thank Councillor Mahmood for bringing a scheme for the pitches on Pastoral and Daisy-Field Ward, and I would like to ask him if he could look into it and get the work done as soon as possible, please. Thank you.
Councillor, to reply, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have tried to make some notes as members were asking those points, and I think the points that some of the points that Councillor Morrow made have been answered by Damien and Julie. In terms of the housing strategy, of course we've got a housing strategy. We have a local plan which is absolutely sound, and if you look at the government's plan around building additional houses, ours is already 5 years in line with that, and the allocation that was given to us by the government, we're already achieving that, if not slightly more. So we have that, and when you look at when you look at the influx or how those houses are being sort of utilised, would be the ideal word. You got more than 50% going to the residents of Blackburn with Darwin. Of course, as part of growth, we want to attract people as well. We want to be able to get people from Manchester where it's commutable and with close links. Those people can actually come and live here, and we'll happily have them because they're going to spend that money in our health, in our economy. So we welcome those. In terms of the life-changing, things that happen to residents, the leaders covered it. I've covered it many times. These are life-changing opportunities for people to get on the housing ladder. Recently, I think last year, we went to the McDermott schemes and we heard firsthand from people who had been sofa surfing with children, with 2 children who are autistic, weren't able to actually get onto the housing ladders, and they were able to get one of those homes, and it was absolutely life-changing for that family. So these are the sort of impacts that we are having for our families, and we make no apology of that, and we'll carry on doing that. Councillor Desai, in terms of the highways workmanship, you're quite right. We continually review the standard of workmanship, and I think we had that feedback from members and residents around the lining quality, and you know what, we listened and we got rid of that contractor. We have a new contractor, and you can see the difference that it's happening, that it's making in terms of the quality of the workmanship, and we will continue to do that. What we've got on our framework now for the road surfacing schemes are national contractors who are doing national contracts for government and some of the bigger schemes. So really sort of robust checking going on from that side as well. Councillor Masters, in terms of events and sharing the affordability, was it social housing, and I think Damien touched upon it around the Griffin element, where we're actually working with all stakeholders. We've got a variety of different developers and social landlords in our borough who are working proactively and in collaboration with us to deliver these housing schemes, and it actually allows those people to get on those on the housing ladder. In terms of the road safety and the driving standards, I think one thing we're not responsible for is the standards of driving. We can't actually police how people drive. It's appalling. I've seen that event that you're talking about, where this young girl was knocked over crossing on a zebra crossing. The zebra crossings are there for the safety of the pedestrians, to allow them to cross. This person paid no regard to that and actually ran her over. We are continually monitoring and hoping that that girl isn't seriously injured. But we can't do a lot in terms of the driving standards. But in terms of the road safety, we continually monitor, and when we get reports where we have stats of additional road traffic accidents, the officers do continually monitor and look at what other alternatives can they put in place to make the roads reduce the speeds or make them more safe for our residents, and we'll continue to do that. On that road safety element, I think Councillor Marrow, you raised the point around the crossing that Les also mentioned, and the leaders sort of said that he will look into that, and I will also sort of take that commitment back and look at what can we possibly do. One thing we're not responsible for is the pedestrian crossing, the yellow lollipop men, as I know them. That's the school's responsibility. Unfortunately, schools over the years, with the reduction in budgets, have got rid of those services. We're not responsible for that, but in terms of looking at what can we do to make the road safer, absolutely, we'll look at that. Who else have we got here? Councillor Fazal. I think in terms of drainage, you raise a really valid point around the issues we have with drainage, and I'm well aware of the number of burst pipes that we've had on Revich. It's a United utility issue which comes up, and a burst pipe can happen anywhere, anytime, and it is an emergency. I think the network for United Utilities is absolutely sort of decimated, and hence when you get in these sort of bursts, it's as a reason. But absolutely, we do have those links, we do have those connections. Imran from the drainage team has some real good links with United Utilities, and absolutely, if you want to email myself, happy to sort of look at what can we do to support working much closely with United Utilities to minimise that. Julie, in terms of Bridge House, absolutely. We've got assets that we have, and we want to bring them forward. How can we utilise our assets? And Bridge House has been our asset for as long as I'm on the council, and way before, but it's been closed. So we're looking at how can we actually bring it, and it lends itself nicely to the youth zone and the send offer that, and I'm hopeful once that application progresses through the planning process, we'll be able to develop a facility there for our special needs children, and it'll be right in the heart of the town centre, which allows them that independent living and actually coming in, travelling independently. So happy to support that. Councillor Corner, in terms of the gully cleaning scheme that's been outlined in there, is the back alley gully cleaning. The normal gully cleaning programme rota is as it is, and that's already been shared with you by Imran. This was additional funding that this council committed to in the financial year to look at how can we actually start tackling the back alley gullies, which haven't been touched for many, many years. And we have got sort of environmental flooding issues, so we wanted to start making some inroads into that. This programme has started, and it's really targeting those areas where there are high risk of flooding in order to actually capture them as early as we possibly can. Councillor Patel, road safety, roads. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're doing everything we can in terms of making our money go further and utilising that money. In terms of the emails, please email me, let me know, because I get copied into all emails that go to ward members, so I know the ward members are getting them. If there are instances where you haven't got that, let me know, and I'll make sure that that is rectified. And there was a point raised earlier by Councillor Khan on the pitch, and Councillor Parvez has raised it again with me. Ward councillors from the Baswell, Councillor Parvez and Councillor Shaukat Hussain, have continually chased me in terms of updating, and I have updated them where they have actually pinned me down. That Troy Street, top of Troy Street sort of mugger that you're referring to is in the programme of works. We do have a scheme. We've got that sort of signed off. We're now waiting for the contractor and some sort of agreement with a school or an independent body in terms of monitoring that and making use of it, because the challenge we have is that being sort of vandalised again, where it's been vandalised on a number of occasions. So we want to make sure we've got it really tight before we actually commence the works. The works is roughly a four weeks schedule, which will be done relatively quickly. But we want to make sure that once we've got that offering, we've got it there for the use and not to be vandalised. So it will be happening, and you've got that commitment. So I think I've covered everybody there. In terms of the Imperial Mill, sorry, you mentioned Imperial Mill. These are sort of ongoing works. There's a number of works that we programmed in. Those works are now complete. We'll now start looking at the next phase of Imperial Mill and looking at sort of bringing that back into use in the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Could I have a show of hands on that report, please? Against? Thank you. Motion carried.
Okay.
Report carried. Sorry. Report carried.
Yeah. And the next report is from the Executive Member for Finance and Governance, Councillor Vicky McGurk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move that report.
Could I have a seconder for that report, please? Councillor Whittingham. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to advise you that whilst we haven't had any questions from members submitted under Procedure Rule 11, we do have a statement to be made with your permission, Madam Mayor, from Councillor Neil Slater.
Councillor Neil Slater, could you make a statement, please?
Thank you to the Chief Exec and thank you, Madam Mayor. As Chair as working on standards, I was reported on 2 counts on a calling. The first count, obviously, because we're Slaters, the first one would be we're racist. As soon as we have a conversation that is heated, that's what you always debate on. For them, it was the grooming gangs. For me, yeah, it was about other things to do with the town. I was found not guilty on that account. And congratulations for all the work you did on actually getting the grooming scandal done at government level, and now we're having a national inquiry. So well done to you too. On the second count, I was found guilty of making a factually incorrect comment, which caused offence to the Chair of Carsey. And that was that the mosques run this town, which is factually incorrect, as I was pointed out by the Chair, by Assad, and by the independent panel. For now, Labour run this council, not the mosques. So for offence I caused, I apologise. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. Just one final item with the Mayor's permission. Just to let you know, the date of the next meeting is the 3rd of October. And then our next meeting is the beginning of December. You may recall the date for LGR submissions falls between them. So we will consult with the Mayor once we've got the detail of the timetable, but just to advise members we may need either an extraordinary meeting or to move one of those meetings to accommodate a report on LGR, but we'll consult with the Mayor in due course. And that concludes the formal business of this meeting, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, before people rush off, can I congratulate you on your efficiency, your charm, your patience. It's lasted a bloody sight longer than I thought it was going to do, but you've done it very well. Congratulations.